Okay, so for most of today I have stood at these trash cans looking out onto the road and just kind of scratched my head. I've been on my iPad all day looking for decent F100 wiring diagrams on fortification. I can't understand them. You know, I'm very new to this, you know. That, all the fabrication was created so I didn't have to look at this. So I kind of get that, you know, ish sort of thing. Now, what ideally I want to do is I want to... Okay, had a quick brain fart for a second. So what I want to do is, I think this is how it's going to work. Now I chopped those, I got a little chop happy. They came from the engine side. Now obviously on this loom I don't need any of the engine stuff because the engine stuff is all up there on the Crown Vic loom to run the Crown Vic engine. Now I want to keep the old switches, so I basically want to power in, a power source in, and one of these two, one's a constant live and one is a switched live. So one is live all the time and one is only live when the ignition key is switched. I want to chop this and I want to put this ignition switch onto the Crown Vic harness. Then what I want to do is, there's two lives going into here. There's a constant and a switched, one of those two, don't know which it is, I've just ordered a wiring diagram. I want to chop these wires and I want to splice them into the redundant circuits on the Crown Vic loom, and that will have everything covered, because as you can see here there are lots and lots and lots of redundant circuits in this Crown Vic fuse box. So if my math and logic is correct, where is it? In here we have an ignition switch. The F100 ignition switch is going to be driving these wires, which will drive this loom, and then I'm going to splice the F100 lighting loom into this fuse box, and that should work. So today was a bit of an admin day really, more kind of surface rust treating. This was completely full of leaves, seems to be a theme on this truck all the way to the end, and it goes down into that area down there. So shoved my hand, well I pushed it, I vacuumed it from the center, then pushed it as far as I could, and then crawled under the dash and shoved my hand up here to get into there and pulled it all down. So that's now empty. And again underneath just been treating with, you can see a thing right now, treating with acid all the way under. So a little bit of a development is FedEx on their tracking say my package of one floor pan is going to be here Saturday afternoon. So I have given up my shift at work on Sunday to hopefully get this done. So hopefully Sunday night we shall have a floor pan in and holes welded up. One thing the previous brain box decided to do was, so you put in that a shifter, a floor shifter there, but what also seems to have happened when he had the Pablo Escobar overhaul was he put some like house carpet and house underlay in, and how he fitted it was he put long self tappers everywhere, and it's just littered with like small holes all over that aren't supposed to be there. So I've got to weld that up. What's that? Comes with a free dog. Hello Bodhi. Hello. Yes. Hello. Hello. Yeah. So yeah, so got to fill that hole, weld the little holes up, put the floor in here. I've hacked all the seam sealer out of there and cleaned it with brake cleaner as good as I think it needs to be, and that's all going to get fresh seam sealer as well as the outside as well. So yeah, bit of an admin day today, not particularly spectacular, but these are the days that make the spectacular days easier. Game on. Well, another damn fine day has arrived. and the purchase of my first ever brand new rust repair panel. This covers bumps and dents, so it'll be interesting to see what the differences are. It looks pretty close. And of course, the rusted piece that I cut out, I threw away, so I don't have a template. But whatever, I can scribe it from the bottom anyway, but it would have been nice to get a general idea of what I was going to be using. So that's going to be going in 2 seconds. And also the wiring loom diagram arrived for the truck. So I now have one for the Vic and I have one for the truck. And I can understand the truck one because it's very diagram based. Vic, wiring book, it's still a little foreign language, shall we say, to me. But I have a friend who knows, so hopefully I'm going to be getting some help on that, because I want to splice the truck dash loom that runs the lights and all that kind of stuff into the Crown Vic loom. So we'll be using the Vic fuse box and stuff like that, and doing away with the antiquated old truck like cylinder fuse things. There only seems to be about 7 wires going into that fuse box, so you're just going to figure that out and then use it that way. Everybody seems to do the wiring a different way. This is the way I've chosen to do it. It seemed logical before I started. I've made my bed, and I guess I shall now lie in it, and hopefully it'll be a comfy bed that works in the end. So yeah, so let's get this in. Well, holy hell, that was easy. I wish. No, we'll just leave it there. Bit of Permatex black around the top. We'll be fine. So you can see a couple of different, it's close. So now I'm gonna dive underneath. Ooh. As you can see there, come back a little bit. So there you can see as it fits underneath. So I'm going to scribe that and cut probably 1 inch past the scribe, and we'll be pretty close. And there she is, all in. So I just tickled the top of the welds just to take them down a little bit, but I kind of like welds, so that's as much dressing as they're going to get. Those got ground down quite a lot because those 2 holes are for the high beam switch, or whatever it's called on here. Lovely job. And then around here obviously there's going to be a trim, so I took that down as well. So yeah, that's in. And then you can see all those welds, that's for the front cab mount. So now going to dive underneath. I've run out of gas. It's Labour Day tomorrow and I've run out of gas, so no gas for me. And I'm hopefully going to run up to a friend's house actually and pick up his CO2 bottle, and that'll get me through. So what I've done, because the top was seam welded, I've just spot welded the bottom. There's the mount, plug welded it, and the seam weld around the edge as well. There you go. And so I'm going to seam seal that now, like that's set. Then hit it with some bed liner. There we go. With it being obviously on the floor, I don't want any moisture getting anywhere near it, and with it being a lap weld, I don't want any moisture getting in between the two. So we have seam sealed everything. That was done from Ford, and the seam sealer was all dry and cracked, so I've redone that. There we go. So that's that side done, and then down here this is all done as well. And I'll double check it tomorrow as it dries, just in case it contracts at all. There's a decent covering on everything actually. That looks a little thin right there, so that's going to get another coat. But yeah, so it's sealed from both sides. So tomorrow, fill a few more holes and then hit the bottom with bed liner. Ah, another day. So yesterday I professed my surprise when the top 2 Crown Vic booster mounting holes were the same as the truck. I was a little hasty in that statement because it's completely untrue. I'd hoped that these holes would be pretty close, and it just so happens the top 2 holes are exactly the bloody same. Ha! What was the case was I only mounted the actual booster bracket, the truck booster bracket, with the top 2 bolts, and kind of loosely, which gave it about 1/2 inch of wiggle room, which was the 1/2 inch difference that the top holes ended up being. So I ended up welding on tabs on the bottom, and I came to fit it all together after I bolted the Crown Vic, the truck booster bracket with all 4 bolts, and it wasn't the same at all. It wasn't close. So I ended up extending the ears all the way, top to bottom, filling in the old holes with weld and then drilling new ones. Pretty simple. So that's now mounted. I'll strip that off and get it painted and show you in a bit more detail in a short while. So next today we've got the 2 holes that are going to be needed for the Crown Vic big bulkhead mountings. Now I've drawn in with a black line here because what I wouldn't mind doing on this truck, it may go either way, is using the truck inner fenders as opposed to Crown Vic inner fenders. There isn't a lot left of the Crown Vic stuff. We're just going to mount the ECU and the fuse box on the other side. I don't know, I just fancy using the truck fenders. We'll see which way it goes. But if I do use the truck fenders, that's where the truck inner fender hits the bulkhead. Then those are going to have to be above it, so it's all watertight and I don't have to mess about modifying the inner fenders themselves. So that's that. Going to dry fit the steering column back just to make sure there's no interference problems down here. It doesn't look like there's going to be. And then on the inside, today we're going to be doing the gas pedal. I'll show you that in 2 seconds. And also, we threw some paint around yesterday and she's all bed lined up. So I'll give you a bit of a walk around now. There we go, so it's all bed lined. The weld marks for the new floor pan. Spotted on the bottom, you know, seamed on the top, plenty of seam sealer in there. And then everything got bed lined. Do like it. Hopefully good for another 50 years of service. Another thing in prepping this cab as much as I can before it goes onto this frame is the gas pedal. So this is an 08, so it's using an electric one. So there's your electrical connector, but got to mount it to the truck firewall. So what I did was hacked up the firewall section that this double skinned bracket was on. So these are the studs that the actual pedal itself mount to. And then I measured in the truck where the pedals were, and there's like 2.5 inches in between the brake and the gas. The gas is about 2.5 inches recessed down, and the pedal is about 2 inches lower than the brake pedal. So with all those measurements, I basically welded on 2 pieces of fairly thick, because it's a safety thing, fairly thick plate that's 1 3/4 inches long. So it sits it off the firewall by 1 3/4 inches. So pretty simple, and it's double skinned, so it's all fairly stout. So I shall tack that in for now because I've not got the truck seat or anything, so I'll tack it in and then we'll final weld only when it goes onto the actual Vic and the seat's in. We can see what we actually think is the position. So there you go. The gas pedal mount is just tacked in there. And there it is, a nice little bungee strap holding the brake pedal in place. But it gives you an idea of the position of the pedal itself. As I say, it's about 2 inches down, 2 inches across and 2 inches lower, pretty much. So get the seat in. So just tacked it for now, so get the seat in and should be all good. One thing I have realised that's going to make getting the cab onto this frame a little easier when we all trip as we go across it is removing the exhaust. So the exhaust is going to go later on today, and I think I'm going to chop it right there because I'm going to just use this flange, and I shall show you why. And here's why. So these exhausts are off the original truck framed build of the orange truck, which is now on the Crown Vic frame, if you follow that. So yeah, I use it right from the manifolds back. What I'm going to do this time, I'm going to chop those there and attach them to where I said I'd chop the Crown Vic system, and then that's going to make it a bit more socially acceptable. I'm 43 years old now and I annoy myself with how loud my truck is, so this one's going to be a bit more socially acceptable. Okay people, this is the end of another one. Brake booster, brackets, all painted, and in the exterior, paint booth, truck in terrible lighting, bed lined and hammer finished up top. ECU holes have now been cut. Pour 15 kit came. I'm going to use the Pour 15 on some other parts of the truck, that's why it looks a bit hodgepodge right now, but it's all happy days, and the floor is now 100% solid. Super happy about that. So the cab is ready for this old girl. So I chopped the exhaust out, that's gone at that point. We're pretty much ready. I'm going to take the inner wings off because when somebody is lifting the actual cab down, it's going to need access to this area. I don't want anybody to get chopped because they're going to be helping me, and I'm probably going to have to pay them in beer, so I don't want them to bleed or lose an arm when they're actually helping me with the cab. Well, that's it for this episode. It seemed fitting to finish on this old girl because she was featured this week by bankshift.com, which is a forum, an online magazine. And thank you to adtr.net, the go-to people for Crown Vic performance and maintenance, for posting up a link for me. Yeah, it's been a really, really great week. The cab's ready to go, the frame's ready to go. Next episode, they will be married together. So I shall catch you next time. Catch me on Facebook Nathan's Garage and Instagram Nathan's Garage Official. See you later.